All right, it's 9 o'clock. So first things first, of course, we have to talk about good morning, Facebook friends. Good morning, Sherry. Good morning, Lois. We've got to talk about our caffeine, right?
Yeah.
So we are going first. I'll go. Can I go first today?
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
I'm going to go first today. Okay. So we have. This is what I'm drinking today. Whoop. It's probably backwards. Oh no, it's not backwards. Okay. So this is some Starbucks coffee. There's probably some anti-Starbucks people out there, but this is what I got on one of my grocery store runs. My my wife is saying that she asked for it, so you can blame her if you're an anti-Starbucks person. But it's actually really good. And I also have this fun mug that I put it in today. So we got this Ghost Creative mug. So
because
that's fun.
hashtag branding.
But it's really good. It's nice and smooth, and have a cup of coffee, have a cup of creamer. It tastes fantastic.
Do you feel like really wonderful about life right now? Because I feel like you have raised your game to a whole new level because you're like a talk show host that has, like a Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon on a mug.
Oh, my wife is saying we're like Kelly and Ryan. So pick which one you want. I'll be the other. I'm fine with it.
John is definitely Kelly.
Who am I?
Kelly, apparently.
I'm fine with that. That's fine.
I don't know if I'm fine with being Ryan, so I don't know. So I guess I didn't think of raising my game. I just wanted a cool mug, and I thought, why not get one with the company stuff on it?
So. This is where you and I differ a little bit, though, is that you have Ghost Creative on yours. I definitely want Sean Hogue just.
Makes sense. I got you a Ghost Creative one. Now I'm gonna have to send that one back and get you a Sean Hogue one.
That's fine.
All right, what do you have? What do you have today?
Oh yeah, so I'm just a little lazy, so I didn't do anything fun. I just did some Wegmans tea, holla.
There you go.
But their cinnamon spice black tea is on point. So that's what we're drinking this morning.
Nice. So I hope everyone brought their caffeine. I hope they brought their questions. So we have a few questions from the last show that we didn't get to. So I apologize. I don't know what happened on the last show, but there were a few questions that people asked during the live, but they didn't come through in our stream until after the live was over. So I apologize for that. So we'll get to those first. A few things, guys, don't forget, go to ghostcreative.com/live. That's where we'll send out kind of the summary of the show notes. If you miss a show, we'll send out the link to the video. And then things that we talk about that come up on the show where we say we'll provide resources, that's where we're doing it. So if you want those resources, sign up for that. Another thing we did, just as reminders, we've had a few people say, I missed the show, I forgot about it. And so on our Facebook page now, we have a link to a Google Calendar that you can subscribe to. So it'll just show up in your typical calendar if you use a Google Calendar on your phone. So hopefully that's helpful so you don't miss it. So we're going to get started here. Don't forget, add your questions to the chat. We'll get to them, and hopefully we won't miss any of them this week. But if you have questions, don't be shy. If you're thinking about it, somebody else probably is too. And I mentioned this to Lois on Facebook yesterday, but the questions that you ask, the reason the show is so valuable to people is because it's not just about giving the answer to you, but other people are reading this, and we're getting, private Facebook messages and things like that of other people that are saying they're finding value in listening to the questions and answers that other people are asking. So it's bigger than just you getting the answer to your question. Other people are thinking about these same things, and so your questions are helping other people as well. So like I've said so many times, we're in this together. So you asking questions gets the word out and helps other small business owners as well. So if you have questions, throw them in the chat. If not, we're going to go ahead and get started, I think, with maybe some of the questions that we had from last show that we missed.
Yeah. So last week, I love this question because I don't think enough people think about it.
Yep.
And the cool thing is you can get away with not thinking about it, but there is so much power in this. And so it's a great question. Have you guys noticed an increase in email open rates during this time? If so, speak to that, and why should small business owners prioritize and segment their email list? I love this because it gets at audience segmentation, which is so critical, but I think so few people really do this. So I'd love to hear kind of where you are at with that.
Sure. Yeah. And in full transparency, we don't send a lot of email, and we actually don't even have a lot of clients that send a lot of email. We have a few of our clients manage their own email. So I have it on my list of things to do today to see if they're getting higher open rates. I had a conversation with Max a little bit about this yesterday, and I think he was saying that the email open rates for him have gone up dramatically, which is fantastic and not incredibly surprising. But I think the really important thing here is, one, send email, and we need to be doing more of it. As part of the reason that we're pushing the ghostcreative.com/live to get on that email list, because we know that it works for people. But the other thing that he touched on here, which I think is so important, is segmentation of your audience. And very few people are doing this. So if you have an audience of people, say, let's take Erie Apparel, for example. I think I have an Erie Apparel shirt on today. Let's see if we can get that in there. Oh, maybe. We'll try some other time. With Erie Apparel, they might have people that they know based on their purchase history that they're more interested in a certain type of t-shirt. If they can segment that email list so that when they come out with a new shirt, so say it's like a Pittsburgh Steelers themed shirt, I don't know, but say it's a Pittsburgh Steelers themed shirt. If they know who has purchased 3 other Pittsburgh Steelers shirts, then when they segment their email list, they should be for sure creating specific emails for those people, right? Because the idea of segmenting is you can create messaging that's specific to that segment. So if I'm trying to sell to a teenage boy versus a middle-aged woman with kids, the product can be the same, but the messaging is going to be dramatically different. And so the power of segmentation is that you can create individual messages that speak to the audience that you're trying to reach. So I always use the example on Facebook. People scroll through and I'll see an ad that says, "Are you a 41-year-old male with 4 kids living in Erie, Pennsylvania?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, they know me, right? Like that's amazing. This ad is specifically for me. And the trick is they knew that I was a 41-year-old male with 4 kids living in Erie, Pennsylvania before they created the ad. And so it makes me feel special, like the messaging is specifically for me, and it is, right? And so that allows me to connect with that brand and that product more specifically.
Yeah, well, that's where I think kind of it's almost counterintuitive. So many people, when they think of I need to build an audience, you're thinking about like speaking to the largest audience you can have.
Yes.
You need to flip the thinking, and it really needs to be, who is the smallest audience that I can talk to so that I can make the message to them as specific as possible. And so if I can find a way to make 100 people resonate with this message, or if it's 10 or whatever for your context, I think that think smaller and think more specific, and you'll start to see engagement just skyrocket that way.
Yep. Yeah. And prioritizing that, based on Max's question, it's critically important. And there's a lot of, through Facebook ads, through email marketing, through LinkedIn ads, if you're a business to business, a B2B player, there's so many ways that you can gather data and segment the audience. It's worth the time to do that, because you're going to see conversion rates increase through the roof versus just these, like you mentioned, Sean, these general messages that are meant for everyone.
Well, I think something that we haven't talked at all about is when you segment audiences, you can really start to do things like A/B test. So you identify that you have 10 people in a similar demographic that you've kind of narrowed down to. Take 5 of them and send one message out. Take the other 5 and send a second message out, and see which one resonates more. Right. And start to do those things so you can learn what your audience is actually looking for. It's hard to do that. It's hard to know what they're actually looking at if you keep the audience too big that way.
Yep.
But yeah, with audience segmentation has so much power to it.
Yeah. And what we see is people run Facebook ads and they say, Facebook ads don't work. I spent $100 on Facebook ads. I boosted a post and no one bought my product. It's like, well, you created a general message for everyone and you didn't A/B test. You didn't tweak the message over time based on whether it was converting or not. So of course, It's not that the Facebook ad didn't work. It's just that you don't quite know how to use it yet.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. All right, cool. Yeah. So this is another question that we had from last week, coming from Andy Kerr, which is awesome. How do I add someone's business page to my private Facebook group. Is that even possible? That's
yeah. So this is a very, yeah. So I'm sorry, Sean, I interrupted you. This is a very specific question that I got from Andy, and I didn't know the answer, so I looked it up, and I worked with Andy on it yesterday, and he's asking, so if you have a private Facebook group, so you have on Facebook, you can make the groups public or private. So public means I can just go in and I can click join and I can join your group, right? Private means that I can potentially find the group. We'll talk about that in a second, but I don't get to just decide that I want to join. I either have to be invited or I have to click the join button and it sends a request and then it has to be approved. So Andy was saying there was a group that he wanted to be able to add to his, a page that he wanted to be able to add to his group. And the reason you might want to do that is because on a page, there can be several admins. So you're essentially adding all the page admins to your private group. And so I didn't know how to do this. And I looked it up and I'm like, I don't think you can do that. And then I realized that Facebook, it's a little bit weird the way that it does it. So if you can, as a group, I'm going to keep mixing these up. As a page, you can join a group, but only if the group is visible, meaning you can search for it and find it on Facebook. So there's this weird thing with like Facebook groups where there's public and private, like I already talked about, but then there's also visible and invisible. And so visible means if I search for it on Facebook, I'll find it. Invisible means if I search for it on Facebook, it looks like it doesn't exist. So you cannot, as a page admin, as a group admin, add a page to your group. But if the group is searchable, if it's visible, then I can, as a page, go in and request access to a group. So this was a very specific question, but I think, more importantly, the fact that Andy is setting up a private Facebook group, private Facebook groups, or just Facebook groups in general, they're indexing very well, which means people are finding them. People are seeing the stuff that's posted if they're public. And they're a great way. We talked to an episode or so ago about community. Facebook groups are an absolutely fantastic way to build community if that's something you're looking to do with your small business, because what it does is it makes people feel like they're part of the group, right? Like it's literally a group and I can go in, we can have conversations. I can post stuff that's specific to that group, talk about targeting and talk about segmenting your audience, right? Like you might have 1,000 customers and you might have 100 of them that join your group. That's a completely different segmentation than your entire audience. So guys, if you're looking to build community, Facebook groups are an absolutely fantastic way to do it. They're free to set up, right? So there's no excuses for not doing it. It doesn't cost you anything. And you go in there and you manage it and you have conversations with people and you give them a place to voice their thoughts potentially. So if you're interested in Facebook groups and you don't know where to get started, contact us, but take a look at it. Again, if you're trying to build community, and you should be, it's a fantastic way to do that.
Yeah. Cool. So let's keep kind of things in the Facebook arena. And let's say you want to take things a step further and you actually want to advertise on Facebook. How would you get started with Facebook ads for my small business? Let's even take a step back. Can you distinguish between marketing and advertising?
Yeah, that's a great question. So marketing and advertising. So marketing, again, how we define marketing is everything you do that touches the outside world. And that includes both things that are paid and unpaid. So me posting on Facebook or me doing this show is marketing. This is not advertising. The distinction between marketing and advertising is, did you pay for distribution, right? So in advertising, it means you're paying for distribution. And so Facebook is both. It's a marketing channel, but it also you have the ability to advertise, which means you can pay Facebook to make sure that your post, your content gets in front of more people. But more importantly, you can pay Facebook to make sure that your post or your content gets in front of the right people. That's the real power of Facebook advertising. So to get started, really what you need to do is Facebook pushes a lot boosting Facebook posts. So if you're posting content on Facebook as a business page, I would be very surprised if you've not seen Facebook say, hey, do you want to boost this post? And so boosting a post really just takes content that already exists and it shows it to more people, right? So it takes an existing post and shows it to more people. It's the absolute simplest way to get started. and probably the least effective way to get started. So if you just want to dabble with Facebook ads and kind of see how they work and see a little bit of the structure behind it, then I would say, you know, you can boost a post or two and don't spend much money. I mean, the thing with Facebook is you only need to spend $2 a day, $3 a day, $5 a day. And you don't have to have a long-term commitment. So you can run $2 a day for the next 7 days and end your Facebook post, and you've spent 14 bucks, right? And you get all the data. So how do you get started? Boost a post to get started. Look at the analytics, look at the data they give you, dig into audiences, because when you boost the post, it'll allow you to select the audience and look at how Facebook is thinking about the audience. So again, back to segmentation, right? Who do you want to reach with that post? And then again, look at the data on the back end, but really getting started boosting posts. If you really want to advertise, you need to think about what your objective is, because when you go with true Facebook advertising, the very first thing they're going to ask you is, what is your objective? Are you trying to sell a product? Are you trying to get traffic to your website? Are you just trying to build brand awareness? Are you trying to get more people to your event? And so you have to pick what is the objective first. And then based on that objective, you will actually get different options for your Facebook ad. And so there's tons of resources on Facebook ads, and we can throw some of those in the weekly email that goes out. But really, before you even dig into Facebook, it is know what your objective is, know who your audience is, and know what your budget is. If you know those three things, so if you know objective, audience, and budget, if you know those three things, taking that idea and then putting it on Facebook becomes the easy part. A lot of people dig into Facebook ads and they say, I'm going to run an ad today. And they jump in and they don't actually know what the objective is. They don't really know what their target market is. And they really don't know how much they want to spend. So they just create this ad. And those are the people that come back and say, I tried Facebook ads and they don't work. Well, yeah, it didn't work because you didn't quite understand it. So devote $20 to learning a little bit about Facebook. Through boosting posts, you can get some data and analytics and start there.
Yeah, that's good.
So again, guys, if you have questions, put them in the chat. Be more than happy to answer them. The more questions we get, the better. A question for you guys, though, if there's whoever's out there listening live right now, or even if you're listening to this after it's recorded, we're going to work on, one of the transitions we're making is on our Friday shows, we're going to start having guests on just so we can highlight some small business owners and get some more insight. Again, we don't want to pretend we know all the answers. So getting some insight from other business owners, specifically in and around Erie, the Erie region, to say, like, what are you guys doing? How are you handling this? How are you like planning for the next 6 months or 8 months or 12 months through this uncertainty? And if you can give us ideas of who those people are, we can reach out to them and try to get them on the show, because we're going to be doing that on Friday. So we have a few of them lined up. So keep an eye out for some of those coming next week, and we'd love to hear your input so we can serve you guys well. So I think I'm gonna call a brief timeout for you, Sean, because I think we have a question that Cora is gonna read to me.
Yeah.
From Anne, did you say?
Yeah. Her phone's kind of being weird, so she was unable to post it in the chat. She said, here's my question. I'm offering new products and specialty signs. Do I have to boost my posts or target markets? I have a limited budget and I'm worried I have to boost to get other people other than my top fans to see the post.
Yeah, so great question. So Anne was saying that she has a new product available. So Anne, again, is the owner of Board and Brush, and she's doing some really cool things so Board and Brush was a place where you show up, and it was about the experience, and you show up as a group and you make your sign. And so obviously with everything going on, she can't do that. So she's doing this really cool thing now where you can put in orders and they'll make the sign for you and send it to you. And on the Facebook page, there's some really cool signs out there. So Anne was saying they have this new product, they're posting it. Do they need to boost the post? Basically, do they need to put money behind it to make sure more people see it other than their top fans? And unfortunately, the answer is yes. They're the only real free. So let me back up and give you a very brief Facebook history. When Facebook started, it was all free and it was a social media platform. Now Facebook is an advertising platform. That's primarily what they do. And so as a business, Facebook decided a few years ago that they were essentially going to pull back all what they call organic reach from business pages. And so that's a fancy way of saying if you post on Facebook as a business, very few people are going to see it. And so organic reach means you're just posting, you're not paying for it. So Facebook decided a few years ago that the way they could make money, and a lot of money, is to retract organic reach for businesses. And the way you get reach, the way you get in front of more people as a business, is you pay for it. And so a few people will still see your posts, but the vast majority of even your audience will not see it unless you boost it. So two things: encourage people to share your posts. That's still a free way that you can get reach. So when people share your business posts, more people will see them because they're being posted on a personal page then. And the other thing is you got to spend money. You don't need a lot though. That's the good news. The bad news is Facebook pulled back your organic reach as a business. The good news is you don't need a lot of money to get in front of people. So when we're doing ads, just so you know where our numbers are, in the advertising world, they use a metric called CPM, which is the cost to get in front of 1,000 people. So how much does it cost you for 1,000 people to see your ad? And so for Facebook, if you're doing awareness ads, you just want to let them know and about your new product that's coming out. If you're just doing an awareness ad, not a, hey, go buy this. Our CPMs are around $2. So that means for $2, you can get in front of 1,000 people targeted, right? So you can get in front of 1,000 people that you say look like my audience, or, you know, you can set up your audience targeting. And then the other thing is, if you're looking at conversion, now the costs become a little bit more because it costs you more to get somebody to actually come and purchase something. So it really depends on how you define conversion. If you have an online store where you want them to pay you money, that conversion, as you can imagine, is a little bit more. If you're trying to get them to sign up for an email list, that conversion will be less. And you're looking, I mean, I'll give you rough numbers because it's highly dependent on the branding and the product and the you know, advertising. But you should be looking at getting people to sign up for your email list for under $10, right? So you should be able to get people to contact you and sign up for under $10 per sign up. And so that does cost a little bit more, but for you, what I would recommend is maybe boost posts, but also just run an awareness campaign where you can spend $2 a day for the next 5 days, spend $10 on Facebook ads, and you get in front of 1,000 people or more over and over again over the next few days.
Yeah, that's good. So when push comes to shove, do you recommend that people boost posts or run ads?
Run ads.
You have to choose one or the other, and why?
Yeah. So the only reason I would boost posts is if you don't know how to run ads, because I mean, in reality, boosting a post is an ad, but it's not creating an ad. So Facebook has an entire ad manager back end where you create the ad with very specific details. You only get a little bit of that when you boost the post. You don't get access to all of that functionality. So the only reason to boost a post is out of simplicity and not knowing how to run an actual Facebook ad.
Yeah, we definitely, and I kind of forced you to say this, but we definitely lean heavy on Facebook ads. There's a lot more power there than to just boosting a post. And so boosting a post has its time and place, but definitely lean heavier on ads if possible.
Yeah. And just to be clear, guys, if you need help getting Facebook ads set up and you say, I boosted a post and I have no idea where to begin, contact us. It's not going to be like, contact us and we're going to charge you $9.99 to get started. Contact us and let us know that you don't know how to do it. And we can work with you to get your first ad set up for free, of course. And then if you have questions, reach out to us. Anybody that knows us knows that we're not going to nickel and dime anybody. We're truly trying to help people. So reach out and say, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? And the answer is going to be yes.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of coattail that a little bit. There's another question that came in. Should I use Facebook Live to sell products?
Should you use Facebook Live to sell products? If you're a good salesperson, I'm not a good salesperson. So it's really saying, should you use any medium to sell products? Yes, as long as you're doing it the right way. I'm not a fan of the hardcore used car salesman approach. That's not, I mean, people are still buying cars, so it's working on some level, but can you use Facebook Live to sell your products? Sure, absolutely. What I would encourage you to do is really think about the message that you're trying to convey. Why would I go to Facebook Live and listen to what you say and go buy your product? It's not going to be because you tell me to go buy your product. What value are you adding? How is this different than the competitor? Why should I add a little bit of urgency? Why should I do this now? But I'm not opposed for sure to using Facebook Live to sell. I'm vehemently opposed to trashy selling. So as long as you're not doing trashy selling, go for it.
Well, I think a better question is not should you, but like under what circumstances could I use that? And I think if you're selling an experience along with your product, a great way to kind of enhance that experience, especially right now, is through mediums like Facebook Live, where you have some sort of following already. You know that you're going to have people show up, and you're giving them an easy way to share that experience with others, because all they have to do is hit a button and they're sharing, like they start a watch party with your Facebook Live. And so I know with Ann, like if you walk people through something that you've created and that they can then go buy, you're sharing that experience with kind of your following already, making it easy for them to invite their friends, and then you can sell the product kind of on the back end. But to just kind of show up and be like, here's all my products, I don't know if that's going to be terribly effective. But especially if you're trying to sell an experience, Facebook Live can be a great way to do that.
Yeah. I think what most artists miss is people are fascinated with the process.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. People are fascinated. I have a friend, Chris Schrader in Erie here, that does amazing work, animation work and things like that. And I've told him, I'm like, listen, I see the end product and I'm amazed. I'm fascinated to see the process. Yep. Right. So like, again, going back to Ann, because she asked the question earlier, watching Ann create a sign, that to me is fascinating. And that is going to encourage me to build the sign, because now I'm like, holy cow, I see what goes into that. There's no way I could ever do that, right? That idea of artists missing the process, missing the fact that people love the process, I think it's a huge opportunity, and especially on Facebook Live, a platform like this where they can watch you do it, right? Yeah. But even without Facebook Live, it's still extremely effective.
Yeah, and I think, look at how many different big name brands do kind of like behind the scenes looks at things that they're producing. Everyone loves this like behind the scenes look at this thing. One thing that I'm really into right now is the show Survivor. Every week they have different castmates take over Instagram, and they walk you through like, this is what you see on TV, but this is what we actually experience while we're there. And it's like wildly popular. So the more that you can give people that this is what I'm putting into it, you may think it's mundane or kind of boring, or you're like, I do this all the time, it's nothing new. For the people that's trying to engage with your brand or your company, like it's gold. And that's the kind of stuff you want to be putting out on like a Facebook Live.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So I have another question for the people that are here. So if you've listened to any of our shows, you've probably heard us harp on posting more often on social, creating more content, getting your messaging out there. Who that's here, whether you've been listening or not, is posting more often over the past 2 weeks than they did prior to being locked up in your house? So I want to see the answers, because I want to know who's doing it. And if you're not, there's no shame here, but I'm curious as to why, because when I think of it, I think either you don't believe us that it's going to work, or there's some other thing that's stopping you from posting more often about your business. So I'd love to hear what those things are. First, are you doing it? And if you're not, then why not?
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Have you been posting more?
I have been posting more.
All right.
Unfortunately for me, well, maybe fortunately for this question, but unfortunately, I set the bar pretty low in the amount of content that we have been posting as a business and individually. And just so you guys know how content works, like this show alone, by recording it twice a week, we can create about 40 pieces of content just from the individual show. And so this time that we take where we truly created it so we can add value to what we feel is the community that we're passionate about, we just by doing that, the byproduct is we get a bunch of content to create,
Yeah.
And share, and so other people can see the value. So yeah, it's been much more than it was over the past month or so at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. So shout out to Lois.
Yes.
Posting more. That's awesome.
Yes, I've noticed it. I'm glad you spoke up, Lois. You're doing a great job. I mean, she's been posting more stuff. It's awesome. It's engaging. Really, really good stuff. So good job, Lois.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that about kind of wraps up our half hour. So do you want to give us a little kind of preview of what's happening next week? I don't know if we're ready for that, but I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I will. Let me real quick. I see a couple more comments coming in. So Anne saying she's swamped with keeping up with creating products. I get that. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough when you're trying to be the practitioner and the marketing department. I totally get it. And Barb, you're posting more as well. It doesn't matter how, I mean, it's better than yesterday, right? If we can be better than yesterday, then at the end of the year, we will be significantly better. So no worries on the low bar
here a little bit, just because I think, Anne, one thing that could be incredibly powerful is find a way to take pictures or video of what you're already doing. Don't think it needs to be something incredibly additional to your current workload. But if you're going in and creating a sign, run a video for a few minutes and then take a screenshot of that video and you have a picture. It doesn't need to be anything crazy complicated. Find a way to kind of leverage the work you're already doing, and you'll be surprised at how much content you can create that way.
Yeah. And we tend to, this is not directed towards Anne, but in general, we tend to overinflate the value of production.
Yeah.
Where like, I don't care how overproduced it is. I'm interested in the process. So
yeah.
Cool. So next week, I don't know how to make the video look good. I'm going to connect with Anne offline because we need to get this straightened out. You'll be fine, Anne. We got this. So next week, what we're going to do is we're keeping the show the same. It's Tuesday and Friday, 9 a.m. You know, same thing. Bring your tea, bring your coffee, bring your questions. But on Tuesdays, we're going to make it a little more topical, so it's not so broad. So we're going to try to focus it on topics, because we know that just asking the question like, hey, do you have questions? That's a huge, huge, huge question. So we're going to start putting out topics for Tuesday, so that if you have questions about those specific topics, you can jump in on that. And then on Friday, we are going to bring in business owners, marketing people, like just other people from the community. So what we would love for you to do now in the chat, or if you think of them, you know, send them to us during the week, but send us names or businesses that you're interested in learning about what they're doing. Like, hey, I saw this business on Facebook. They look like they're doing a really good job. You might want to reach out to them, because again, we're trying to cater this to people that you want to see. If you see somebody that's doing something great, then let us know. We'll reach out to them and see if they'll share how they're thinking about it with us, so that we can all get better. So Tuesday is going to be topical. Friday is going to be, we're going to have guests in, and we're going to keep pushing information out on social so you can follow along. And again, ghostcreative.com/live to sign up for the emails. There's a lot more information in there. So even with this one, that's where we'll send out information about Facebook ads and things like that. So anything else, Sean?
No, I think we're good.
All right, guys. Well, enjoy your weekend. It's Friday. I know Fridays don't seem like Fridays for everyone, but it is Friday. So enjoy your weekend, and we hope to see you on Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.